All right.
So, are you vegan?
No, ma'am.
All right. What justifies you using animals when they can't consent to their treatment?
Well, I mean, I have a lot of unpopular opinions about life in general because of how I was raised. And that being said, your opinion on using people and or animals that are not exactly up to the mental standard
Sorry about that.
that we see, in my opinion, in the animal kingdom, they just call the herd. If something is not capable of performing the way that it is supposed to, it either gets left, eaten, or killed.
Sure.
So why would it be any different for animals? We are more
You mean why would it be
mentally...
different for us?
No, or
Because you said that animals do this to each other, right? That's what you're saying?
animals, yes, and we are mammals, which means we are animals. So,
Right.
on the topic
So
of...
I would say that we're moral agents. So we have the ability to understand right and wrong, which gives us
Absolutely.
a responsibility to not take advantage of those that may not understand those roles, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so what determines if you are not able to understand those rules?
I mean, if they can't reciprocate morals or rational thought,
Animals can't reciprocate morals or rational thoughts.
yeah. So I'm saying that they
So why-
deserve moral. They need to be recognized as moral patients, so they deserve not being exploited by us.
How are we exploiting them?
We're using them unjustly without their
We're using
consent.
them for meat and their products, like chickens. We
Right.
use them for eggs and meat.
Do you
for
not agree
cows.
that we can thrive on a vegan diet?
Oh, no, absolutely. I've been vegan before. We can.
Okay. So if we can thrive
I
on
don't
a
know
vegan
about
diet, then
thrive.
unaliving them and using them is unnecessary.
It is unnecessary to a point, but also it comes to...
It's unnecessary,
fact
period.
of-
We don't need it. We have all the alternatives we could need. In fact, we're hurting ourselves delaying switching over to a vegan diet because we're using all our resources, but we're also we're enslaving somebody. We're using somebody that is experiencing the world and causing them unnecessary harm.
Okay, are fish experiencing the world?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So are you saying that eating fish is wrong?
It's immoral to take their life. Yeah. For taste pleasure? Absolutely.
But that's a big part of human life is pleasure. If you don't get pleasure out of something, then what would...
We can thrive on a plant-based diet and get all the dopamine and enjoyment we can get out of other foods and not harm animals.
Okay, but a good cut of steak is a lot better than a pot of beans. That's
Is
what I'm
taste
saying.
pleasure worth more than someone's entire existence?
How is a cow a someone?
They're having an experience of the world, and
They
a
are.
subjective experience.
Okay, but would you say it is bad to kill a cow if it was hurting other cows? Like bulls, for instance.
Why would you
Bulls,
kill
when
it?
they
Why
mate-
don't you just separate them?
Okay, that's still human interaction.
I mean,
Why-
killing is
why
human
would-
interaction. That's choosing an extreme instead of just separating and doing proper animal management.
Okay, so you're still saying that we are enslaving animals even if we don't eat them or use their products. So if we are separating animals from doing what they are supposed to be doing, which is mating and living a wild life, we are choosing to separate the males from the females so they cannot procreate.
I mean, you brought up a domestic animal that we are responsible for even being here.
We are not responsible for cows being here. Cows
Domestic cows do not have wild counterparts. Like their ancestor no longer exists.
It doesn't exist anymore. You are correct. I'm not saying that you are incorrect. I am saying that in the beginning, they were not domestic. Now they are. Could they be undomesticated? Possibly.
Oh no, that was weird.
No?
But yeah,
Sorry,
in this
did you-
case, you brought up a very specific domestic animal that even when we stop using them, we will have to manage as we end the breeding programs. That's just taking care of them. It's similar to like taking care of a cat or a dog. It's like saying, I have 2 cats in my house. These cats are fighting. I should just kill one instead of do the proper thing and separate them and like slowly, properly introduce them. Like, it's an extreme.
So separating them and slowly reintroducing them, that should be happening from the beginning. If
Just to be clear, there are sanctuaries that have already figured these problems out. So
Okay.
I don't think that worrying about what we're going to do with these animals or whatever, it's more about just don't pay or consume or use them. Stop seeing them as resources. They'll start to reduce how many are forced into existence. Eventually there won't be any more, and then we don't have to worry about the morality of using them or not, because they just won't suffer. They won't exist.
Morale is a human construct, so why are we...
We're called moral agents, and they're called moral patients. Just because they can't reciprocate the moral constructs that we have set doesn't mean that they don't deserve respect and not being exploited. They still have preferences. They still have their own personal purpose. And it's immoral to force our purpose on them by putting a knife in them or by using them in any fashion. Do you agree using a human that cannot consent to their treatment is immoral?
Using a human that cannot consent to their treatment is immoral, but then it comes to the fact
why?
that if a human
Why
cannot
is it
consent to
immoral?
their treatment, then just kill them. Take them out of the herd.
Did you say kill the human?
Yeah. Why would we...
Well, I mean, if we can't even agree on human rights, what are we doing
Yeah, I'm
here?
just gonna say, sounds like an ableist. Sounds like he next is gonna say it's
100%
okay.
ableist. Yeah.
Let's put handicapped people into gas chambers. Like, holy moly.
Exactly. Honestly, when I point out that we have alterly abled, mentally capable people, everyone jumps to that they're broken in some fashion. It's like, they just see the world differently. They have other strengths that I'm sure you don't have, or maybe they might even perceive things, in a manner that we just don't understand. And it's rude for us to just assume that they're broken. It's more like, these are people in our population that are different. They're just different. They don't think the same way we do. And we can find similar patterns over in other species. And, if we deem that we need to protect these people, we should extend that out to the sentient beings that have similar markers. They're, having an experience and making preferences. Oh, I get worked up too much and I start to monologue.